Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Andrew Leong from Cloud4C, the moderator for today's event. Thank you for joining this event. Yeah, before we start, this is the topic of the event. Today, the event will be emphasizing on enable uninterrupted business continuity and cyber resilience with AWS Cloud Adoption Framework. Please scan the code for free cloud migration assessment. Allow us for another minute to start the event for the rest of the participants. Thank you. Hi, everyone. Let's start. Yeah, let me just go through the agenda for today. Yeah, for me, as I introduced, I'm Andrew Leong here. And, after this, we will go through the panelist introduction, followed by a speech from Saurabh, who is the speaker, on AWS Cloud Adoption Strategy. Then say hi, Saurabh.
Hi, Drew.
Hi. After Saurabh will be Eugene Stern, who is from AWS, on the topic of why customer chose AWS.
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. Later on will be on a panel discussion, which is with both the speaker, Saurabh and Eugene. And of course, nonetheless, we will invite the audience to prompt any question that they have in mind. And that's all for today. Without further ado, let's quickly start.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so if I want to introduce Cloud4C, we are one of the Gartner listed managed service provider company. We are currently in the visionary quadrant for the Gartner Public IT Transformation Services in 2021, and that's how we want to introduce ourselves. So if you talk about, I'm sorry, I think there is some slides are moving. Yeah. So we are a application focused managed service providers with a lot of automation practices. One of the key reasons why we are in the Gartner visionary list is not only we provide our standard services around the cloud or the managed services for the BCP and many others, but we also use a lot of automation like RPA, DevOps, and app modernization in our practices internally, and same set of the skills we are providing to our customers as well. We are a multi-cloud support company, and we have around 70 plus alignment with different OEM vendors. Some of the keys are there, and one of the prominent is AWS, whom we are talking deeply today. Okay, so if we talk about our awards, we are getting awards. Today morning we have a panelist in Asia Journal Award. We are getting the finalists. That is IDC, powered by IDC. Recently we are in the best brand. We have awarded by Economics Times, and from the Singapore Business Review in the category of IT services, we are the winner on that. Same time, we have many other banking and the business awards across. We are one of the great place to work certified. Okay, so if you talk about our customers, we are currently serving around 4,000 plus customers. Out of that, 60 plus are Fortune 500 customers, and on some of them are the top banks, top manufacturing companies, top media companies across the globe. If I want to name some of them, it is basically IT, banking, media, healthcare. The names are quite out there, right? Okay. So now if we start, one thing is based on the poll also we see that. So why you need a managed service provider like Cloud4C, and what is the essence to that? So we know that there are customers who having different questions, and they are probably already having their different maturity on the cloud. There are different kind of question that some want to start with scratch. They want to know that I just started, I have many questions, how I want to execute, I'm interested. Some of having that I don't know what is what is there in my infrastructure, how I can actually do a quick round of assessment to get what is there, and based on that I can plan. Some of them very advanced stages, they say that okay, I already using cloud and I want to modernize it. What is the business case you want to present, how you want to save my cost, right? So today's discussion is more focused on that, what we can do around that. And if you say that what we why you need one and what we do, is basically we are helping you to adopt your migration strategy for your organization. Whatever the maturity level you are currently, we can align with you, we can understand that, and based on your current needs, we can give you a very focused approach. What is the approach which we have seen that it's not only the technical, it's a more focused business approach, that how your business is going to run, especially when you're talking about the cloud consumption and the guiding principle. I'll want to give you example that few days back, we have a conversation with one of the customer who's talking, I am using cloud, like 50% plus you're already using the cloud some way or further. And they are saying that one day there was a malware attack and we don't know what happened, right? And suddenly in 2 days time, the bill goes to around 30K USD, right? So how we can protect all these things? Not only the protected, ensuring that there is no mishap on the costing side of it or many other things. So fundamentally, what we use is a cloud adoption framework. We want to talk about our cloud adoption framework and the methodology. The one of the premium thing is security, how we are going to design the security principle in terms of Azure, as AWS or Azure landing zone environment with well architected review. And end of the day, all are aligned with one thing, which is called the costing, the ROI. End of the day, if you're not getting the ROI, you are going to invest. Doesn't make any sense to move to the cloud, right? So we are there to help you in your journey. So if you talk about in a very in a pictorial environment, what we start, what we do, like if you want to do a migration, we do a quick round of discovery, create a business case for you. We do a complete migration planning for you, or a complete DR planning for you, that where we are doing the complete discovery, creating the landing zones, creating your different skill sets which you already have, and complement them. We are not saying that we are going to remove it, we are complement them. You can take some of the skills from us, like databases, which is very new to the cloud. Those kind of skills you can leverage from us and you can use it. We create a migration plan, we create the business plan, strategy, we ensure that the security and the compliance need, and based on that, we actually migrate, integrate your system, test it, transform it, or monitor it, and continuously innovate it. So this is our methodology doing it. If we talk about that, how we help in terms of AWS, what data-driven approach we follow, what kind of tools we are using. So there are certain native tools which we use. There are some third-party tools which we use. And based on that, we are able to give you the complete visualization of your environment and how we can transform your IT as well. So this is just a look that one of the tool which we use. It's not only provide the discovery of your environment, but it's also gives you the complete dependency of your environment, like which application is dependent to what, and how we are going to migrate it to the cloud, what is the sequencing around it, right? So this is just a pictorial presentation around it, how we do that. Like I said, we started our journey, the questions that every customer is different. Every customer is having different needs, and how we are going to cater it based on what is our differentiate in the market, right? So if you see the lower part of it, where this is our differentiator. We are a 24/7 managed service provider. We have our dedicated NOC and SOC practices. We follow the business, proper business engineering. We have 25 center of excellence. The center of excellence, we talk about not only technologies like AWS and the RDSs, Windows, Linux, DevOps, many more, but also process engineering like PMP, the project management side of it, the ITL side of it and all, right? We also develop a platform called Shop. Shop is abbreviation of the self-healing operating platform, where we bring not ask our customers to invest any monitoring tool. We bring those tools for the customer and monitoring 24/7. We bring them, provide them the proactive support. We come with an RPA approach where we already included 273 plus RPA process within our thing, and that economy of scale we are going to pass to our customers. These are our differentiator, and based on your current journey, you probably in the journey of migrating or a planning or a modernizing, or you want to probably secure it, or you probably optimize it, we can use it in with different tools and technologies and the skills which we have today. So this is something as a Cloud4C we do. If you talk about our methodology, like I promised before, our cloud adoption framework, this cloud adoption framework is the foundation of 5 pillars. We'll quickly introduce these 5 pillars. One is the operation excellence. This operation excellence is something you can say that how fast my operating team create a VM. You can say is minutes, it's in seconds today. Can you do that? Can you do it in hours or days? How fast you can do that? Because in the cloud or in the current world, the best thing which we can say is a fail fast. If we fail fast, we can innovate more. We can innovate more. The chances to succeed in the next is very fast. And if we delay this supply chain or operation excellence part, we probably not able to succeed. So one of the fundamental principle while we're doing operation excellence as the fun thing, we able to provide infrastructure as a code. We create those templates. We create those things that within the seconds, your development team, your production team can run it in the seconds rather than in minutes or in hours. Security is one of the fundamental thing, and we should actually talk in the first thing while we're talking about the cloud, because there are certain things, and I can guarantee the first thing, security is never be a one person's problem. It is a joint responsibility for the customer, the provider like us, and the platform provider like AWS, which we're going to talk today. And this is something when Cloud4C get involved, we not only introduce the basic controls, we also automate many things where the responsibility of the customer is there, but it will be minimized to certain level, and we can provide the best possible outcome around it. So all the services is basically outcome basis. Reliability is more related to our BCP practices, how you want to define your BCP, what is your RPO and RTO. Based on your RPO and RTO, will design your DR solution, which will be how cost effective it is. Performance efficiency is more related to how we are going to give what is required. Typically in on-premise world, we provision a little extra from that day. But what is the performance efficiency? How fast we can do, how agile we are, how we can create VMs within the seconds to map it for the next level. And out of all, until unless there is a cost optimization or in a cost sense, we are not going to go ahead anything. So we are not saying the cloud is cheap, but if you're using the right way, it's a way cheaper than what we are using and utilizing today, right? So if you fundamentally, I'm not talking about all 5 today. We are talking about 2 principles. One is the security, and other one is reliability. So we're not talking about security today. Probably you are using some of the services in any of the cloud, or you probably thinking about more, or you want to go to the global. So one thing which is very evident, you probably require certain certifications for your environment, and you want these certification to be get to proceed further for your applications. It can be your industry specific, it can be a global norms. Tomorrow you want to go to the Europe for your businesses, you want to start your business to the Middle East or US, and what is the compliance out there. We can bring those compliances, understand those compliances with your application, create a complete list of the controls in terms of what is the native things, and based on if there is still gap in terms of your skills and your preference related to certain of your products like Palo Alto or Checkpoint firewalls you want to use, we can bring those in the cloud, and we can complete security recommendation and migrate it. Again, we have our very different tiers of the security, and a layered security where the tier 1, we are more focused on the traditional security measurement where we are protecting it. The second layer is more on the advanced security or zero-day attack. We are able to understand there's the attack, and after that we have a MDR tier, which is basically detecting, not only detecting, it is responding also. So security is one of the fundamental thing for anything which we are moving in the cloud, and we have make our customer happy with some of the native tools, which is free of cost. We can bring certain services of the AWS to create that, and based on that we give the perfect landing zone environment so that their public facing and internal facing applications will work perfectly. This is part of reliability study. This is how it looks like in a normal scenario or any application or any customer environment as a simple architecture, where we're talking about a production a VPC. We have our VPC for non-production. Production VPC is talking about, again, the micro segmentation of the network, where we have a app web DB is a totally different. They're isolated. No web tier will able to talk to the database tier. There is something ACL which is stopping that flow. We have all those parameters like firewall, the NAT gateways, the management servers, so nobody can access your servers. And on top of it, we have a monitoring, we have a storage, which we are going to use. So this is a very simple architecture that where I'm trying to give you the understanding around it. We can create the BCP practices around what is the high availability. Can I create a different availability zone so that it will be more synchronization that front. With that, I want to introduce our next speaker, Mr. Eugene from AWS. He will help you to understand that how the availability and why the AWS cloud is there to help you on that. So Eugene, over to you.
Yeah, so a quick introduction again. I'm actually part of the commercial mid-market territory team here in Singapore. I help businesses in Singapore actually to innovate and achieve business value by leveraging on cloud technology. So before I talk about why AWS, I just wanted to share that, as our cloud economics team has been working with hundreds of customers, business cases, and witness areas that customers have realized and quantify value, we have actually developed a AWS cloud value framework. And this actually helps us to have a way of thinking how customers like you actually see the value of cloud. So of course, initially, I would say customers, when they go on initial migration, the focus will always be on cost savings. But once we go back to those customers after they have migrated, we see that there are other things that actually they improve on, which is like operational resilience, staff productivity, and of course, business agility. And according to one of the IDC reports that we actually have an in-depth interview with about 27 of our AWS customers, they actually observe an average of about 51% reduction in the total cost of ownership, 62% increase in IT staff efficiency, 94% less unplanned downtime, and almost 3 times more new applications featured delivered to the market. So what I mean by cost savings. So how we help customers to realize cost savings is by avoiding supplying the on-premise infrastructure with large fixed spend, and of course, reducing the ongoing variable spend through AWS economies of scale. Second, which is staff productivity, how it is actually increased. We have actually increased the staff productivity output by the same team size when customers move to AWS, because they actually no longer need to do a lot of the technical work. So this improves the efficiency and improve their tasks by task basis. Next is operational resilience. It's actually achieved by really helping customer to build a resilient, high availability, secure kind of environment on AWS. So this will help to improve your SLA and also reduce your unplanned downtime. Lastly is really increasing customers' business agility, by having them be able to push out new products, go to new geo locations, and of course, adding more features on the existing product faster. So when customers ask me why would customers use AWS, firstly, we have the most experience in cloud computing among the cloud providers, and we have been helping millions of customers since 2006. Next, in terms of global reach and high availability, we have 81 availability zones within 25 geographic regions. And among that, we have 230 point of presence with 218 edge locations and 12 regional mid-tier caches in over 90 cities across 47 countries. Next thing about security and compliance, we are compliant to more security standards and compliance certification than any other cloud provider. The next thing is also, how obsessed we are with customers, where we have actually 200 over fully featured services to support any cloud workload. And most of these services came about from the feedback of our customers. In terms of performance, we are able to actually deliver up to 80K IOPS per instance with consistency. So that shows how important we are when we look at performance. Next is really improving TCO. This is something that we actually take pride in, where ever since we have started in 2006, we have actually 109 price reduction. Why we always do this is because we always want the customer to save when they move to cloud so that they can free up budgets to actually use more advanced services like machine learning, IoT to actually innovate for their business. So the next thing is on machine learning. Actually, we have more machine learning happening on AWS than any other cloud. So 81% of all deep learning is actually running on AWS. What we are trying to do is really to put machine learning in the hands of every developer and data scientist. And last but not least, we have a big ecosystem where we have millions of active customers every month, and we have a rich partner ecosystem with consulting partners such as Cloud4C, and of course definitely software partners that can help in any kind of solution that you're looking at. So as I mentioned, AWS has more services and more features, and there's actually more features within those services than any other cloud provider by a large amount. We have the broadest and deepest set of services, and we continue to innovate and expand on that. So in terms of the basic core services, we definitely have the compute, the storage, the databases, but of course, we want customers to have access to advanced services such as analytics, machine learning, and IoT. And we continue to actually innovate from there. Next thing about global reach, we're actually architected for availability. What I mean is, unlike other cloud infrastructure provider, each AWS region has actually multiple availability zone. And of course, within each availability zone, there's actually multiple physically separated data center. And each availability zone is actually fully isolated partition of AWS global infrastructure. What this means is actually it is really physically located, separated from any other availability zones by a meaningful distance such as kilometers away. It's not just your next building. It's really fully, I would say, separated so that you can really see a different two data centers, and this actually architect for the high availability, and each availability zone has its own power infrastructure. So what this does is actually it gives customers the ability to operate production, application, and databases that are more highly available, fault tolerant, and of course scalable than you can possibly have by just managing one's data center. And last but not least, all these availability zones are interconnected with high bandwidth, low latency networking over a fully redundant dedicated microfibers. So this provides high throughput, low latency networking between the availability zones. So in terms of performance, we do have external parties that look at the performance between AWS and the next nearest provider. And we have proved that AWS performs 2 times better than the next nearest provider. And in terms of downtime, we have 85 times less downtime compared to the next nearest provider in 2020. So this shows how much we put into making sure customers has a high performance and highly reliable infrastructure on the cloud. And of course, we have been recognized by Gartner. It's actually, if you count this year, it's 11-year consecutive as a cloud leader in the market. So I'm showing you 2018, 2019, and 2020, not only to compare, but you can see that we are moving towards the right, where we have higher completeness of vision and our ability to execute has improved over the years. Next, we always believe that customers is like the voice of us. So we have been supporting the smallest of startups to the largest of unicorns, and from the smallest of SMEs to the largest of enterprises, such as banks, airline, telcos, and of course, across all industries, including government agencies, universities, and polytechnic. And I believe when you look at this map, there are definitely brands that you would recognize. We have also been recognized by independent researchers on our experience with SAP workloads on AWS. One of the feedback that they have is actually clients get better security and performance for the SAP landscape. And besides a robust partner ecosystem to support local and global enterprises, AWS, we continuously invest in ensuring clients' choices, growth, and continuity. So when any enterprise is looking at a robust SAP platform, AWS should be on top of their shortlist. So instead of always telling them that we are being recognized by third party, we are actually one of the cloud providers that have more than 5,000 active AWS customers that's running SAP on AWS, and over half of these are actually SAP HANA based solution. So 5,000 of the customers has moved into and are getting more from the SAP investments than ever. And as you can see, AWS has the most experience, most customers, broadest portfolio of SAP certified offering, and we have the most complete portfolio of HANA offerings, and we have experienced partners such as Cloud4C in our ecosystem to actually help customers. And if you're wondering how about the customers in Asia Pacific, we do have more than 820 SAP customers on SAP on AWS, and also over half of them has deployed HANA-based solutions. And many of these organizations are large global multinational customers, and they are actually running their production SAP on AWS. This shows how much they actually trust to put their production SAP workload on AWS and how stable it is. And that's all from me. Over to you, Surab.
Thank you, Eugene, for providing us such a wonderful insights. And we are going with your the AWS kind of the volume and the complexity, the kind of the cloud you're handling. The 25 regions and 90 plus AZs, then 203 number of certification, many more are there for customer to help. So we are going, and in the next session, we are going to talk about a couple of use cases, the case studies which we have. And based on those case studies, we'll discuss about the AWS and the Cloud4C capability to run those services. Basically, the choosing these three case studies is on the criteria of three things. The first one is the more on the complexity side of it, where one of our customer moved to the entire legacy system to automate, manage it, the SAP on AWS. Second is more on the agility. They want it to do faster deployment within the 3 days, and how quickly we decided and done it. And the third is more related to the volume. They have a 20 TB. One of you, we have seen that the cases where the most adopting technologies challenges the data and the compliance side of the 15 TB data we have moved along with for the customer to that AWS. We will talk about it. Moving towards our client, the case studies which we have discussed, right? One of the company is the Falcon Pack, is a CPG company, is one of the global CPG company globally. They are facing a lot of challenges for their SAP system. The SAP system was pretty R3 and the ECC 6.0 mixture of it, and they want to move to the cloud, and they want to understand that how best we can migrate and ensuring that there's no data loss, there is no downtime, there is no I would say the security labs, and they want to go to the global, so there is 100% compliances. So we are building this entire infrastructure on AWS with a landing zone environment, give complete visualization before we are moving, testing it and migrating it the cloud. SAP is one of our key skills. Not only we are providing the migration skills, but we have the services around AMS and the basis up to the application layer, we are able to provide those services. So based on this, we are able to provide the Falcon Pack, the complete migration, and they are able to reduce around 15% their operational cost while moving to the cloud. Right. This was one of the case study. The second, the first one we talked about more the complex one. The second is a more on time, on the agility. So Time Out is one of the wellness company. They are want to launch this company. When they have tried to launch it, is one of the Saudi Vision 2030 company, and they want it to be ensure that their data need to be sovereign, it need to be hosted locally. They want it at the same time, they want also to ensure that it launch very fast. So within, they have given us time, the 7 days to launch it. We have based on our COEs and the AWS, we are able to launch it within the 3 days and able to provide them. The cost saving increase, the TCO reduction, because the most importantly, the time frame which they want to launch it reduce a lot, because typically in hardware provisioning is required 6 to 8 weeks to hardware to deliver. Then we have a different people, but within our own templates, we are able to provide all these services and infrastructure code and doing it. The last one is Caterpillar Science. This is one of the creative agency. There are a lot of document and the collaboration need to happen. And this is not something, the problem of the Caterpillar Science. This is the problem with all the organization in currently global. They have a data. They have very, very old data or a new data, but they want to retain it or do the compliances needs or a business need. And at the same time, they want to the insights as well. But the size is so huge, how they can move it. So and the second part is how we ensure and then do the collaboration services. So we have AWS, used AWS S3, is Amazon Workdocs to provide those kind of services. We use AWS Snowball, which is a device, portable device, where we have taken the data, almost 15 TB data we have migrated to the AWS within the framework of 2 weeks, right? So this kind of thing we can do over the volume also we are provided. And by doing all this and moving to the AWS cloud, company is able to provide almost 100% cost saving. 100% cost saving means they are able to save a lot of cost based on the agility we are able to provide. They are open the companies in different regions. They are the companies who are running, they want to start it. But now within those templates, we are able to run it, create it very faster way. And it almost 30% that TCO reduction, man hour cost, man more efforts is reduced highly. So this is these 3 case studies. I want you to focus on that. With that, I will pass on thing to my fellow colleague, Andrew, to take this discussion further. Over to you, Andrew.
Sure, thank you. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Eugene. Thank you for sharing so much with us. Now is our time for fireside chat. So we will have some question for you. Hopefully you all can address to it.
Surely, I'll try my level best to answer.
Okay. The first question, I think this is something which is in everyone's mind when coming to migration. So what is the cost benefit when you see moving from on-prem to cloud infrastructure? Saurabh, you might want to take first.
Yeah, I would love to do that. So typically, I started my discussion when I'm talking about our cloud production framework, and one of the fundamental thing is the cost, right? So while we're discussing on the cost, we also said that cloud is not cheap, but if we understand the methodology, how we provision today we're on premises, we always over provision. Most of the time we over provision for some black day sale kind of model. But how we can introduce the cloud with more agility, more automation, whenever we require, we can move it. Those set of things we can introduce and bring it. And on top of it, if you are going to use there are so many different ways, or we can say a cloud economics, where you can save a cost, like any workload which is running 24/7, like SAP's or the Word, you can go with the reserve instances, which is 1 year and 3 years, where in 1 year you can save almost 30 to 40%, and from the 3 years you can save up to 60 to 70% cost with a normal PG environment. And you have a lot of flexibility to moving ups and downs, and there are a lot of great things you can do, which is, and while doing it, I can again reiterate that it is way cheaper than what you paying today if you use it the right way. Eugene, you want to give some comment on that?
Thank you. Yeah, Eugene, you might want to, share some views.
Yep, sure. So I think when we migrate customers' workload from on-premise to the cloud, one of the few things we will make sure is to look at the utilization that they have on-premise and make sure when we migrate to the cloud, we provide the right sizing. Because from the 15 years of working with customers, moving customers' workload to cloud, we realized that on-premise, on average, out of 1 million of customers, they are actually only using about 43% of their resources on premise. So when we architect their environment on the cloud, or when we provide them with the sizing, what we will do is look at this. Either number one, we'll actually try to look at the resources by putting some agent in it and look at how their application behave, or we just take this standard that we are looking at, the 43%, and move them to cloud. And of course, from there, we continuously optimize the environment, making sure they're using the right sizing, making sure they're using the latest version of the instances, because the newer the instance, the lower the cost. And of course, asking them to go into, like what Surab say, savings plan or reserve instances. So this is how we actually help the customers to save costs when they migrate. And if their workload can, we do have our AWS Graviton processors we lower the cost for customers when they move their workload into AWS. Yep. And of course, once their workloads are stable, we can see how we can optimize it, moving to managed service products of AWS and using serverless products, so that they can really get the full benefit of moving their workload to cloud. Yep.
Thank you, Eugene, for sharing. Yeah, of course, cost would not be always the only thing that considering. The most importantly is the security. Okay, my next question: do you think security is a concern when we, talking about taking to AWS? And secondly, while due to the current environment, everybody is working remotely, or even going forward might be hybrid, and how does it affect us, and how can we manage it? Saurabh, can you help me to answer that?
Absolutely. So if you look into the current scenario of world, and his world is going, the last 2 years was really difficult for everybody. Ensuring for any employer to remain secure, number one, and the productive in the same time is one of the key thing which we have talked many of their customers. And one of the service which we want to especially want to talk about is virtual desktops, which is AWS workspaces, where we can imbibe these workspaces with all native security services we talked about based on the compliances. See, I'll talk about one of the customer where we actually created AWS workspaces and with the MAS guidelines. MAS is the Monetary Authority of Singapore guidelines, and based on we have created complete landing zones. Landing zones having the firewalls, the web application firewalls. We have all the monitorings around it, and we are giving access to our employees from working from home. And this is going to be happen permanently, or I would say at least for hybrid mode, where sometimes you're coming to the office, sometimes you are working from home, and this is going forward with one of the new normal which we have seen. And based on the AWS, like I said, it is, and Eugene was iterating that the 203, the highest number of certification and the compliances and the controls are available on AWS to use it natively. And on top of it, whatever your current security thing, where your team is very much flexible to use it, you can take it, whether it would be any SIM solution or any firewall, or you can leverage the VAPT assessments and which is based on the social engineering, the black hats, you can do that, right? So security is one of the important thing, but it will remain there, and you can leverage the security on the cloud in the best possible way and on the PG model. Over to you, Eugene.
Yep, thanks, Saurabh. At AWS, I would say security is day zero job. We understand that security is very important for our customers. One of the things that we help with customers in terms of working remotely, like what Saurabh said, VDI environments. We do have our AWS workspaces to enable customers to work remotely and securely. It's one of our managed services products that we help um, to have a VDI solution for the customers. But of course, on top of that, when you migrate your workload to AWS, we do have native security features such as IAM, WAF, and also Guard Duty and Security Hub, and also including KMS. We do have a framework, what we call a cloud security framework, where it's part of our well-architected review to ensure that when customers move to the cloud, they are actually when they set up the environment, it's actually secure. So, but on top of that, we understand that customers are also familiar with the current security products that they use, the likes of Trend Micro and McAfee, etc., or even Palo Alto, etc. So we do help customers to protect their current investments, where we are able to bring your own license to run some of these security products on AWS. But of course, at AWS, like what I mentioned previously, we work with a lot of providers, a lot of software providers, independent software vendors, where their products are on our marketplace place, where you can actually do a pay-as-you-go model for those products. And those products on marketplace, they also do have integrations with AWS. So one of the things when customers move to AWS, we'll do is a security check where are they comply to the are the environment well architected according to security. There's actually a checklist on our console, and then you can take a look at that to adjust and amend your security features accordingly to help you to build a secure environment on AWS. Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for the clarification on security portion. So when we come to disaster recovery, BCP, what is the different and the key benefit, whereby we manage ourselves rather than, going to AWS? Is it more benefit? Can you share more on that? Why don't you start first, Eugene?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of customers, when they move their disaster recovery into AWS, how we can help is we do have products such as Cloud Endure to help to facilitate customers' migration to AWS. And when they back up and put their workload on backup copy for DR on S3, that's actually one of the most cost-efficient way to actually store your storage. So when we work with customers on DR, let's say on SAP, we need to make sure that they have the strategy is correct, and from our experience we are able to advise customer how they should actually architect the DR on AWS. So a lot of the customers, I would say, when they move their first workload, I would say the DR or backup, so that they at least get a taste on what AWS is like on the cloud, how you're going to manage your DR and all this. But one of the main things that's different is that it's still a pay-as-you-go model. So if you have a traditional DR, you have to put the same amount of servers there, and you have to buy for the maximum capacity. So for AWS, you can actually just do a backup, and when you need to do a DR exercise, then you spin up your instances. Overall, you definitely save costs from there. And I have a lot of customers that when they try DR on cloud, they like it so much that they actually turn their DR into production. So where they see a lot of benefits in terms of, I would say, pay as you go, the way, how fast we can actually spin up those instances, and how fast they can actually, do the enhancement for the application, push in new updates, new patching. So this is just something that I want to share. Over to you, sir. Maybe you can add a bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Eugene. So whenever we're talking about our business continuity, one thing is a prime thing which comes on our mind is what is our RPO and RTO. Whether it's a 1 hour, whether it's 15 minute, whether it's like 4 hours or 24 hours, right? And based on this RPO and RTO, we are actually creating our business planning around it. And we have a different tools in AWS to do that. Around AWS, we also have our automated practices that where we are not only just creating this environment, but we automate completely. Within this tool, probably providing you the services to migrate, manage, but with the automation, we can actually run it as a completely on the cloud. One of the biggest benefit on the cloud when we are talking about AWS is that typically when we create any traditional DR on premises, it is very difficult to utilize that or do a DR drill because that is something is a nightmare to test it or something. And most of the time we are going to create the similar infrastructure, similar softwares, everything for our need to make the cloud, right? But when we're creating the cloud DR, we have a different options. We can create a hot DR where we are actually using those services, which is very evident, like 15 minutes of the things like in databases. We can use those native database services, or we can actually create the native replication of the database like SQL, Oracle, or SAP HANA, right? We can create a cold kind of DR where you use the tools like Cloud Endure and S3, where we actually taking the backup and continuously taking that backup onto the cloud, and not only taking the backup, which is a thing, but we can also run that particular instance and test it at any point of time, right? And we can only using the storage part and the replication tool cost, nothing else. And whenever you want, you can run it. This is so cost effective solution, which we have seen that. And Eugene was also mentioning that the people are so happy to see that and seeing the flexibility that they actually shut down the production environment to start creating the DR as a production and start using it and using other AZs for a DR. So this was one of the classic case was there. And automation is something you not only if you want to look into the sequencing, that first my Active Directory server or domain control need to be up, then my databases need to be up, then my application need to be, all the sequencing can be provided on the cloud, and you can save a lot of cost around it. So this is very one of the first example while you're using or doing for a DR, and we are very much open to discuss those DR strategy. Our first question was in this webinar, and we have seen around 50% plus are already doing certain, 77% are already doing something, or they are in planning to do that. We are there to help you whenever you want. You can align with for DR strategies. Over to you, Andrew.
Thank you, Eugene Sharap. Yeah, Eugene, I do have a question just for you. Yeah, as you know, enterprise currently are handling multi types of database cater for different needs. So as a AWS ambassador, can you give us a detailed insight in how can we best preserve the data integrity and security when we come to migration in larger scale? Eugene, please.
Sure. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, I think we have been realizing that there's a need for, I would say, a unified database across all of the customers' IT landscape, especially in large enterprises. So, this makes data management and modernization, they need to use this to be able to leverage on analytics easier. So a lot of times when I tell customers, when they put their data on S3, it's not only just, I would say, your backup strategy or your DR strategy, but what you can do after that. What I mean is, you can actually, build a data lake on our S3, where it's actually a centralized repository that allows customers to actually store all their structured and unstructured data. So from there, on top of that DR strategy, they can actually gather insights, from the data that that's coming from places like websites, mobile apps, corporate application, even those IoT sensors, and they can actually gather those data at any scales. So the good thing about this is actually on S3 is actually a secure, a highly scalable, and a durable object storage with actually minimal latency. So that's where customers can extract all this data, do further analytics on it, and gather insights of their customers or their internal workers, and help to innovate the business or improve operations in their company. So when I talk about those data, I understand that customers want to actually store their unstructured data, the semi-structured data, or even the structured data. So an S3 will be able to help to cover that. And one of the beauty about it is there's also what we call a storage lifecycle integration and management, where we are able to look at your storage lifecycle and manage it and help to optimize the cost, which means that we can have your data that's on S3 standard, we can move it to S3 infrequent access, or even our cold storage, which is Amazon Glacier, to actually reduce your cost. So what's the benefit, right, from customers that I would say they move their data into data lake? One of the most important thing is when all the data is in one place, it actually gives the customer a single source of truth, and it also supports fast ingestion and consumption. And this S3, what I can say is actually really designed for low cost storage, and it supports a lot of protection and security rules. So I think one of the things that customers are, I'll say, concerned of is definitely security. And we have a lot of, I would say, services all the way from security, managing identity, managing encryption, managing compliance that we can help the customer with. So, if you have any of these, do reach out to us. We'll definitely want to ensure that your data is secure and compliant on cloud. And when you move or migrate your workload to AWS, it actually have a right framework. Yep. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Eugene. I'm sure the audience would like to know more regards how to organize their data and go into more in-depth deep dive. Yeah, y'all can speak after the event. Yeah, Saurabh, I do have one question. When we talk about managed service, it's such a generic terms. Can you elaborate a little bit more and let us understand how can we benefit as a consumer?
Absolutely. So managed services is not something we start with very basic understanding around that. That patching, you need to do a regular patching of systems, and how you can do a patch your system, how fast you can run the skills or upskill yourself from the point of view of managing your databases, or you want to convert the databases from traditional platform to any RDS which is in AWS, and how you are going to manage those, how you are going to ensure that the security on the cloud, you are using it. Like I said, it's a more on the shared responsibility, and one small opening ACL any is your whole environment is basically compromised, right? So that's why the providers, the managed services provider like us are coming to the picture. And like I said, we are the Gartner listed managed service providers. So we are not only focusing on the traditional services like patch management and which we talked about, we also have a lot of automation practices. We build complete RPA practices, and we start not only from the customer, we started from our own tools. Like we have created a tool called self-healing operating platform with the different tools. We have created these managed services platform with a lot of RPA practices or bots where we leverage those for economy of scales. We almost having 4,000 plus customers. We are managing it with a less than the 2,000 plus less than employees. That only possible if you have those kind of economy of scales. You have that. We have our own practices on the management, different center of excellences which we are talk about. And one of the key pointers which Eugene was talking also about, the security, how you are ensuring the security while you move in the cloud, how you're going to monitor it, how you can help us for adopting this any zero-day attack, and how you are going to respond it, how you are going to respond to any ransomware attack which is happening, right? So these are some of the fundamental questions which is there for doing that, and doing for any BCP practices for especially in case of ransomware, how you're going to ensure the cloud data is secure, or I can create how many copies of different data which is there, and how fast my RPO and RTO work, and all those methodology. Probably you have 1, 2, 3, 4 skills, but you not have definitely not have all the skills. We have built that, and that's why we started doing for almost 12, 13 years of managing our own data centers, and that pedigree we are going to follow for a service management for complete processing for our customers. That's why that's what we do as a complete managed services offering. In a nutshell, is a 24/7 where you need not to worry that we are not able to do that. We are doing a lot of modernization from moving your traditional workload to the cloud native services. We are using DevOps practices. We can leverage those DevOps practices. We have a security automation on MDS, managed and detect then response side of it, and so many advanced services we are bringing while we're talking about our managed services. So this is something we do. What do you, Andrew?
Thank you. I'm sure all the managed services can be customized to individual need. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. It is not the one umbrella for all. Whatever the customer is needing, the only, like I said, that only want a data, you don't have the skills for databases, you can leverage us. You only want to do the security, you can leverage us. Or you only want to do tested our professional services in terms of any security assessment, in terms of any assessment or planning, we can do that. And we also are providing one of the free assessment today. You can please leverage, use it. You want, okay.
Thank you, Saurabh. Yeah, before I end this discussion, perhaps you all both might want to share one most key takeaway from this webinar. What does the audience need to understand and benefit from it? Saurabh, to you first.
Yeah, so I would say that we have a free assessment. Please leverage it first of all to give you the complete set of understanding. But I will definitely say that this is the QR code which you can actually use it for registration and for next purposes. But if you talk about 2 or 3 probably the key use cases which we are definitely talking about is, one is the BCP practices, where how you are going to define your the BCP. Second is the cyber security, which is day in day out, it is going and growing and is impacting our businesses a lot. I have seen the customers who are not giving this priority, but suddenly it is getting a priority, we never know, right? But to ensure right now, to start now with the baby steps, we are going to protect you for a longer terms. So these are the 2 things which I would say as a key takeaway from here. Thank you very much.
Eugene, do you want to share anything for this one?
Yep. I think one of the key takeaway, I think from this, if there's a few things to take away where you know that AWS has a lot of availability zones for your BCP practice, and we are compliant to a wide range of compliance and certificate. If you have to worry about security and also your audits. But of course, we also have global and local presence. Let's say you need to comply for any of your compliance, and of course, when you need to go global, we are there to definitely help you to go global. Yep. And if you have any kind of, whether you are already on cloud or you're looking at a DR strategy, you can definitely reach out to us. We have various solutions to actually help to solve your everyday problem. Yep.
Okay, thank you for answering all the question. Yeah, once again, scan the code for this free cloud optimization assessment. As just now the poll, I think a lot of them feel that free assessment might value add to their organization, whether in the cost, whether in the security. We will definitely help you to answer all the questions. Yeah, I will just leave this slide down here for the rest, who want to, participate in the assessment. Yeah, time's really fried. Now it's 3:06. We have come to the end of the webinar, and thank you so much for Saurabh and Eugene and everyone effort for the participation and hosting this event.